Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, June 26, 2025 meeting of the Lakeville Planning Board. It is 7 p.m. and we are meeting this evening at the Lakeville Police Station at 323 Bedford Street. We have LakeCAM recording this evening. Is anyone else recording? Hearing none, I will move on to our first item on the agenda, which is a public hearing site plan review for 19 Main Street, continued to this evening. Upon the application for site plan review submitted by C.D. Dankowitz Realty, Inc. for the construction of a proposed mixed-use retail and business development comprised of 2 buildings and associated site improvements. We have a request for continuance from the applicant to continue until July 10th. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to continue 19 Main Street to July 10th, 2025.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item number 2, public hearing, accessory dwelling unit, ADU, site plan review for 225 County Street. Upon the application for an ADU site plan review and approval submitted by William Fuller for a proposed 900 square foot ADU with an attached garage and a garage underneath. Possible vote.
Good evening.
Yeah, let me read the notice. The Lakeville Planning Board pursuant to the Town of Lakeville Code Bylaws, Chapter 270, Section 270-6.7, C7 will hold a public hearing on Thursday, June 26, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Lakeville Police Station, 323 Bedford Street. The purpose of the public hearing will be to receive information and public comment on the following site plan review, accessory dwelling unit, ADU application for 225 County Street. The applicant, William Fuller, seeks site plan review and approval for an accessory dwelling unit, ADU, and the ADU will be 900 square foot with an attached garage and a garage underneath. The application and assorted documents can be viewed in the planning department by appointment.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for the ADU at 225 County Street.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing's open.
All right, good
Welcome,
evening. Jamie Bissonette, Zenith Consulting Engineers for the record. I think this is the first ADU in front of the planning board.
It is.
All right, so we'll try to get through this together.
All right.
It should
Yeah.
be pretty simple. Mr. Fuller, who owns a beautiful house right on the pond on County Road, he's looking to build an ADU for his mom. It's a small building that's gonna run pretty much onto the side of the garage. There was a small garage there, almost looked like a shed, but it was a garage in that location with a foundation. Since the time that we've done the application and gone through conservation, they have moved the garage down here, the small one. But up in this area where you'll still see the foundation if you ever drive by is approximately the location of where the ADU is going. The ADU, like you said, is 900 square feet with a garage attached on the upper level and then a garage underneath as well. And there is a proposed deck facing the water side of the property, which I think will be pretty nice. I don't know if you had architectural submitted. I know that's kind of not really a purview thing from what I've read with the regulations.
Right.
But we do have ample parking. Utilities are covered. We're tying into the existing septic system, the existing well, and we've been through conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Ample setbacks, ample lot coverage.
Okay. So now my main concern is the garage and the garage underneath, because as you know, we can only require 1 parking space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only for us to allow an ADU up to 900 square foot.
Correct.
Nothing about accessory buildings. Have you applied through the building department for those as well?
There is a package. I believe Nate has a package of this, but I did speak with Nate today. Nate said that his view is that garages and basements do not count as the area
For the
in this
ADU.
case, for the ADU. The
Right.
ADU is the living area. In the regulation itself, it kind of goes into, it actually excludes garage area from gross floor area.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of weird because it doesn't say that the ADU is restricted by gross floor area. It just says you're taking the gross floor area of the house that's already there, the existing single family house.
Right.
So my understanding and with speaking with Nate is that the way it's viewed right now is the living area inside that has, the right ceiling height and is living, is not for parking a car, is considered that area, and that's the 900 square feet in question.
Okay, so the only reason I ask is because we have the accessory structure
Structure,
bylaw
yeah.
now. So just to make sure that, the garage is all
Yep.
conform to that portion,
Understood.
of the
Yes.
bylaw.
Yep.
Separately, because we wouldn't be,
Well, yeah, you guys don't issue the special permits if they are over. So I think what
so
would.
it actually goes to ZBA.
Exactly,
So,
through a special
yeah.
permit. So, my understanding is that if Nate does find that it triggers that they would have to apply for a special permit after the fact.
Okay,
Like prior to building, but after this meeting. But this, we don't believe that that is the case here. I think that we're okay.
okay. What is the, existing and proposed lot coverage? Do you have that for the percentage?
I believe that we do. No, I do not have that on this plan.
Okay. And then the fire chief did express some concerns. Did you see his memo?
I have
Fire
not.
chief? You have not?
No.
Oh, okay. Kathy, could we share that with them?
Yeah, I didn't, I thought of that today,
Okay.
actually.
So he's basically concerned, with the, egress, with the gates, saying that it'll, potentially lead to, delay.
With the gates?
So,
The width of the gates, it's 10-foot wide gate. So we said the main gate's 10 feet wide. His
Oh.
apparatus is 9'6".
I understand. You're talking about the entrances, the stone wall.
Correct,
The pillars
yeah,
of the stone
yeah.
wall, okay.
Not the-
Sure where must,
so maybe something to consider for, let the owner be aware and.
I will. I'll actually pass this letter along to Mr. Fuller. So
Okay,
he-
great.
So, yeah, I understand.
Do, any other board members?
Yeah, just one quick question.
Certainly.
Regarding electrical service. Oh,
You're probably not gonna get an answer from me,
Okay.
because I don't know.
okay,
What I think for the electrical service, my understanding in talking with everybody is that they're gonna apply, through the building department for the electric. I don't know if there'll be a separate meter or not. I would imagine there would be a separate meter, but I can't say for sure. I know in Lakeville, in the past, when we've done in-laws, they've been prohibited. But I don't know what the town is going to want
well,
here.
my question was more in response to if the service can be underground,
Oh,
that kind of service. I
understood.
didn't want to open up another can of worms for you, but just in terms of, 'cause
Understood.
I'm trying to figure out how many feet from the current house structure, how many feet away where the new proposed location will be.
I would say it's about 40 to 50 feet,
Okay.
from being out there. It's not far.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they would run a new service from the pole out or not. So
Gotcha.
I don't want to be dishonest. I don't have an
Okay.
answer for you.
No worries.
I wish I did.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So the proposed new location for garage, that was an existing, just relocated garage?
Yep.
Like didn't rebuild it, they just moved it, physically
No,
moved
it's
it?
beautiful, yeah. And it's,
Yeah.
if you,
No, I know, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, it's a nice property.
It is.
They
If you-
rebuilt that wall and.
if you drive by, you'll see the garage, and it's a small garage. I think it's 18 feet
Yeah.
deep. But he has silt fence behind it, and you'll see, there was a machine there, I believe, yesterday when I drove by.
Yeah, I was, again, I think echoing what Madam Chair said about the accessory, with the new accessory building, like
Right.
triggering, again, like you mentioned the ADU, but, you know what I mean, it's kind of, you got the ADU, now you're just adding on the garages. I know it's not part of the ADU space, but it becomes kind of, I don't know, it's that gray area is an accessory building in addition to the ADU, so it's kind
Yeah.
of with an ADU in it.
Yeah.
But, no, that was really it. The other thing was, I think in the fire department was that it has to have a separate street address.
Right.
Yes, so they have to come up with an address, and my understanding is they have to report it to GIS as well. They want
Mhm.
everything now sent to GIS. So when they pull for the building permit, I'm guessing that they're probably gonna go with an A and a B.
Yeah.
You'd have to
That's what I
think,
think,
I mean,
yeah.
because everybody can do it. It would mess up all the numbering throughout town.
Yeah, on county, yeah, it'd be a little more.
Absolutely.
And then the septic, is it utilizing the existing septic?
We are. So, what we're doing is there's going to be a grinder pump lift station placed into the basement and pumped into the existing plumbing in the house is the proposal right now. I've met with Ed from the Board of Health and discussed it. Basically what happens is that type of a situation would fall purely under plumbing code and not septic. What they would have to look at is to make sure that there's no increase in flow to the septic, which we've explained how we would do that. They're going to eliminate a bedroom inside.
Yeah,
of
I
the
think that
house.
was, this is the one, yeah, and
Yep.
the 5, whatever.
Correct. So they're going to eliminate a bedroom in there. And I believe that they'll also have to do a Title V inspection as part of this process.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yep.
that's Board of Health, I just, if
Yes.
there wasn't any added septic, I know that was one of the, you know, we're muddling through this ourselves as we,
No.
as we go, so we're asking the initial questions that have nothing to do.
I understand.
So basically, for me, I just want to know the lot coverage percentages, just make sure that we're still within those. Because I know it is a large existing,
Yeah, it's actually two
Right.
lots, believe it or not, but they're essentially, yeah, there's two lots. There's a property line kind of that runs down and they own both. So if you look, the assessors have them as, I think they have them as two, but he owns them both.
Okay.
So is it 3.8 both of them, or is it 3.8?
No, that's both of them. Yep,
the 3.8 together.
it is.
Yeah, okay.
3.8 together.
What is on the other property? I guess if it was a separate property, is that different?
Well, he doesn't treat them as separate.
Okay.
He treats them as one. You can see that there's an existing barn up. in
Yep,
the
that's
back
what I was wondering, yeah.
And the entrance drive. That's about it. So the way of looking at it, I guess for me is there an acre of lot coverage on here for the 25%? And the answer is absolutely not.
Okay.
But I can turn in a breakdown on that for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's
And
not a
then,
problem.
so I mean, that's really my only question. My other concern was, like you said, the accessory structures, but that'll be up to Nate to determine, and you said you've already applied with him.
I believe they have. I didn't actually even apply for this. Brian
Okay.
Cave did, who's doing the contracting, I believe.
Okay.
So Brian, but he couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to cover.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, so then the other part is make sure that, you know, they've applied, for the accessory structures, separate from the ADU. And then we'll have to have town council help us work up some, you know, a more minor set of conditions.
Yeah.
Decision.
Yeah, well, for the decision.
The application, was this the one that we, the finalized one, or was this one before?
That was
That
prior.
was-
Okay, I was wondering, because lot checked, no, the box is not checked, just want to make sure, I was like, that's like, but it's
Yeah.
kind of, most of it,
I asked
what it
the
is.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't even seen that application yet.
yeah, no.
So before.
Didn't look like that's why.
So, the applicant had wanted to move forward before we had finalized our ADU separate application,
Sure.
which this evening we're ratifying the vote on that, so.
Great.
We'll have
Be
a
easier
separate
going forward.
application
Yeah.
going forward. That
Yeah.
way we can know whether or not it's complete.
We get through a couple of these and they'll be much easier.
These are the ones that are always like NA, just
Yeah.
get rid of them, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said, we're
Makes sense.
making our way through it.
Yeah. All right, so, we'll continue to our next meeting, July 10th, and, Jamie will get the percentages. We'll have Amy draft a decision for the ADU. Yeah, as far as, you know, the access, I think that's something that maybe the homeowners will want to address, but it's not something that we can, condition
Yeah.
on, so.
No, I think that's what he was saying was, it sounded like it was
Yeah, it might be.
nice to have, but, you know, I mean, I think you're not, doesn't want to add any more problems, but it's an existing condition, but it is gonna be.
Big, beautiful home.
Yeah.
I don't see why anybody would not want to make sure that they have sufficient,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I have to
emergency
let her.
access.
I'll definitely pass it along. So,
great. All right, so would someone like to make a motion to continue us to July 10th?
I'll make a motion to continue the ADU at 225 County Street to July 10th, 2025.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
all right, thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Jamie.
good
Thank
night,
you, have a good
everybody.
one.
Agenda item number 3, public hearing for definitive subdivision, 92 Holland Road, continued to this evening upon the application of LMB Realty Trust for approval of a definitive subdivision plan submitted by Zenith Consulting Engineers for a 2-lot subdivision, assessor map 12, block 2, lot 26. We have a request for continuation from this applicant to July 24th. Would someone like to make that motion?
Make a motion to continue the 92 Holland Road to July 24th, 2025.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, associate member recommendation to select board, possible vote. So in our packet, we do have 3 interested parties for the planning board associate member. This associate member would act on special permits. They would have a chance to get to know and familiarize themselves with the zoning bylaw, and in the instance where one of the planning board members couldn't act on a special permit item, and it has to be a supermajority to pass that specifically, that member would step in and have the opportunity to vote as a member. So I was surprised that we have 3 people, which is in a good way.
Yeah.
I think one of them we're familiar with from recent developments. Another one is, seems like a nice young man with some good experience as well. Another one is one of our consistent attendees, Mrs. Guay. I think that's great that, you attend all the time and you're interested in serving as a associate member. I don't know if anybody has anything to add or would like to make a motion about.
So I would concur with you, Madam Chair. I mean, Mrs. Guay has been to countless meetings over the series of probably a year now, and has, shown a lot of interest with our board, as well as asked a lot of great questions. And I would have no reservation to appoint her or recommend her as a member of our board for being associate member. So
Is that a motion?
so I'd like to make a motion that we recommend Mrs. Donna Guay as an associate member for the planning board.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll get a memo over to the select board. Kathy, are you able to do the memo? All right, so the thing is, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't hear from the town clerk or the, is Tracy? Tracy's still here.
Still there, yeah.
Okay, Tracy is still here. Sometimes you hear from them, sometimes you don't. So my suggestion is just to pay attention to this next select board agenda. If it's on there and if they appoint you, call the town clerk's office and just arrange to go down and get sworn in. Because like I said, sometimes they'll email you and let you know, oh, you've been sworn in, come down, or you've been appointed, come and get sworn in. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So just so you know, just keep an eye out for that. And once you're sworn in, then you'll be welcome to join us. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
We'll share all of the bylaw language and anything else that we can with you, so you can do some reading. It's a lot at first, but I have confidence.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving on, agenda item number 5, we have 2 sets of minutes. Kathy, great job getting us all caught up to May 8th. Anybody have any edits to April 24th?
I do not have any edits.
No.
It's very detailed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'll make a motion to approve the Thursday, April 24th, 2025 meeting minutes as drafted.
second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. For Thursday, May 8th, I had one very small edit on page 2. where it says, tonight they have to make a recommendation to town meeting as a formality. She's spoken to the DPW director and been advised. I'd just say he advised. I don't know. I would just change been to he. So, other than that, looked good.
Was not in attendance
Okay.
for this meeting, so I am going to step back on that.
Oh, neither was,
Well, we can still.
still,
Did you watch the meeting?
I did.
You can vote on it if
Okay.
you watched it.
Yep.
So,
I'll make a motion to approve the Thursday, May 8th, 2025 meetings as drafted with the one edit.
motion,
Second?
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Number 6, we have site plan review. The first item is inspections. I actually had to go through my last packet and I did pull it up. Sorry, Kathy, I didn't get over to you.
Yeah, I did late this afternoon. I didn't really have a chance to
Okay.
do anything with it though, so.
So as far as inspections, what I have from the prior meeting, this is actually going back to the first one in May. We had the 2 lists from Beals and Thomas and Apex, and we had chosen the bullet point number 1 from Beals and Thomas, which was an initial visit to ensure all erosion control measures are installed and operational prior to any construction. So that one was 1. 2 was perform periodic construction inspections with a minimum of 2 inspections of the excavations for the stormwater management facilities, basins, subsurface systems, etc. 2 was from Apex, and that was their number 3. And then 3 was Beals and Thomas, 1, 2, 3, number 4, bullet point, review the binder course.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 was the final punch list and
Wow.
as-built review. So I think Kathy wanted to get that list together and send it over just for Liz to just review and make sure that,
Double check.
yeah. Because, and I think adding that with a minimum of 2 inspections, because so I was in the office when Kathy was speaking to Liz the other day and kind of going over this, and she had said, depending on the project. So I think we should have some language in there that says, at the minimum, large, these 4 items are expected, and larger projects may require
Additional meetings.
additional, reviews. So are we still good with those items
So,
for the inspection?
yeah, no, so I pulled it up. So what was 1 again?
So 1 was the first bullet point from Beals and Thomas.
Bill Thomas, which was the first bullet point, attend the pre-construction meeting or the perform a periodic construction?
It's on this one. Oh, that one, that's the rates one. So this is just from like the bullet point. But-
Might be a different email. Yep.
Attend the pre-construction meeting. Oh, so actually, this came in after these, huh? But I don't know if,
So which one was it anyway?
so I was going off of these 2 that I thought we had discussed and I had circled from. But this is still attend pre-construction.
That was, we got that one. That was just after, that was when we asked for like how much they were.
Yeah, so the erosion control measures, that was in there for the $800, and then, periodic.
Oh, what was it though? It was initial visit to ensure all erosion control measures are installed and operational prior to any construction?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
It was actually in May 9th.
May 9th.
What you had come up with.
Oh, in the minutes?
I mean.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, okay. All right,
Oh,
thank you.
we just did that, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and so so really, we just need to put this into the site plan review application, and you wanted to have Liz review it,
Yeah.
right? That way they can you know, say yes or no, or
Yeah.
maybe you're missing, we
there it
recommend
goes,
this
yeah.
instead. But so now that you have that list, you're good to send it over to her and, so once we have a draft, then we can hopefully vote on our approval, right?
Yep.
Okay.
There, initial visit for erosion control. Periodic, but minimum of 2 for stormwater review of binder course, review of as-built. And final punch list.
Right. Yep, and so this was already around $5,000, and I think we were trying to get it under, so it'd be around the $5,000 with the as-built, because the as-built was what, 2,800 or something like that? As-built 2,500, so. As long as we're still good with those, we can move forward with that, hopefully
Mhm.
get it on the next agenda for a vote.
Sure.
So, July 10th for that one?
I think that sounds good.
The
Okay.
10th or 12th?
10th.
10th. And then the ADU application and fee, so we already took a vote to get that, application in place. And then, of course, reviewing this first ADU, I said to Kathy, I said, you know, maybe we actually want, because I didn't see the lot
Coverage.
coverage percentage,
Yeah.
and I didn't see, proposed in existing, square footage.
Gross square footage, yeah.
Yeah, so for the ADU, it's up to 900 square footage based on the existing dwelling. So if you have a dwelling smaller than the 1,800 square foot, you wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to
Put in
the
900 square feet, yeah.
So I thought maybe we should add those 2 items,
Existing
like-
square footage, yeah.
just under where we have,
On the second page there?
A plan shall, yeah.
yeah, so under like number 2 even, because it says the plan must show the name and applicant, so then the plan must show existing and proposed lot coverage,
Mhm.
existing and proposed, square footage.
Right.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
figured if we're gonna ratify the vote, I guess we could make those 2 additions now,
Mhm.
add them to the application and just vote to,
Compile it, yeah.
if you're all on board. I just, you know, taking a look at it, I was like, oh, wait, it doesn't have these items and this is what I
No,
wanted
Yeah, I know.
to see, so.
It makes sense, you know, to have it on there, so.
Mm. So if you're good with that, someone want to make a motion to add those 2 items to,
Yeah.
the.
Well, so it was the.
So it's the lot coverage percentage, existing and proposed, and then the, existing and proposed, square footage. But I'm trying to think of, not living area, it's the existing and proposed, yeah, living area.
Yeah, living, yeah.
Living area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross square footage, right? You still have to, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'll make a motion to add those 2 to the ADU, checklist for the application.
all right, we have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. You good with that, Kathy? You got
Yep.
that? All right. All right, agenda item number 7, administrative update. The first one is Lakeville Country Club Golfers Way discussion, covenant, possible vote. So, it went from just reviewing a covenant, that Kathy, finished up for us. And this was basically based off of what you had discussed with town council, I believe, last meeting.
Right, even she had mentioned the date, and I says, oh yeah, I must have done it from an older one, but when I went and read it, it actually says the date that they submitted the application to the planning board of the subdivision, so that's why that was like so old and seemed so strange.
Mm.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, cause it is an older plan, they never
Yeah,
got the
right.
covenant, it wasn't filed,
Mhm.
so now that will be, that. However, we got comments back from peer review.
Yeah.
And they reviewed a very zoomed in section of the cul-de-sac, which was changed. And one of the items that she pointed out is that section 4B5B, dead-end streets shall be provided at the close end with a turnaround having an outside roadway diameter of at least 120 feet and a property line diameter of at least 140 feet unless otherwise specified by planning board. So that's actually a waiver that they're looking for now, because they're going from about 130 feet, which was shown previously, down to 104.5. So that's a waiver that we would want to see shown on the plans, as well as the fact that peer review pointed out that it was not a full set of plans. And because of that, it's unclear if the revised cul-de-sac layout will result in a modification to the property limits of lot 1. So the applicant should revise the plan set and submit it for review if a modification to the property limits of lot 1 is proposed. And also the proposed contours on the east side of the cul-de-sac island do not reflect the updated curb alignment. The applicant should revise the plan set and resubmit it for review to address this comment. We did get some comments back, but I think that the comments from peer review still stand because we haven't seen a full set of plans. I don't have a problem with anything that hasn't changed, because that was a large set of plans with the golf course was its own, I think it was 3 pages on its own. And then the cul-de-sac and the lot 1 and 2. So I would like to see any plans that are affected by this change be revised. Anything that's not affected is okay, because say we approve this, the plans on file at the registry don't match what we approved.
Yeah, no, they have to produce the whatever revision this is, has to be, we want to see the plan that was,
Because also, if we say, yes, they're allowed that waiver, but it's not shown on the plans, it's gonna cause confusion. So I think it's really gonna benefit them in the long run to also show the waivers, plus the board has to agree and vote to approve the waiver. So my thought is that we should send a response back to the applicant. We can take a vote to send a response back saying we would like to see a full set of plans, any changes reflected on those plans, including the waiver request, and to please resubmit as a minor modification.
So we want to, they said that they're willing to resubmit C1 through C4 of the 4 plans. They don't want to do the whole thing, which I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I don't remember the whole set, but as long as changes from C1 to C4 don't need to be don't need references on other plans. All plans revised as well as any references required. Again, if they're, not that they're changing a detail, but I don't think they are, but that's fine.
Good point. Because if they are referencing those,
if they're making a change to add to a reference to the changes, they want to see the change with
the references.
And they don't have to be, I don't mind if they don't resubmit it, but they should be at least for reference that we could see them. I don't want to dig it up.
Right. Good point. Okay, so send a memo back to the applicant, ask him to submit it as a minor modification to a site plan review with the necessary.
With the revised drawings and any accompanying referenced sheets.
All right. I'd say so moved.
Yeah. So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
sorry.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a public hearing. If you have a question though, yeah.
So my name is Mark Turcott, 1 Sandmark Way, I live next to the country.
Please
club.
sit at the
Yeah,
mic.
right
so they
here?
can-
Yeah, so we can hear you on the mic.
So I may have missed some things and stuff too, I'm just wondering, what is being proposed, like, is it just a road or?
So this is a so the reason it's actually in front of us is because, as mentioned, we had, a set of plans for a subdivision
Okay.
at the Lakeville Country Club.
Yeah.
There was really no substantial changes except, creating the road and
lot lines.
some new lot lines. The golf course, the solar farm, and then a new lot.
Okay,
And in reviewing, so peer review was getting ready to go out there and review, they found that there was an electric pole in the layout of the road. So the pole couldn't be moved because it was part of the solar farm. So the road had to be moved. So that's why we had peer review the snippet of the road section. And now we're asking for a new set of plans to align with that snippet that they showed us.
Okay.
The covenant also still was not on file at the registry, Kathy found, so we were getting that covenant over to him to file because that was part of the decisioning.
okay, so the subdivision hasn't been approved yet, they're revising the plans, then it'll go for further review?
So
or-
it was approved back in 2023. So this is literally just tying up the loose ends of
Okay.
that approval, but now they're looking for a modification, so they're gonna have to apply for a minor modification to the site plan.
Okay,
So they will have to show plans and they'll have to, present it, and Kathy, you'll, have to advertise it?
I'm not sure for a
Okay.
modification. I think
No.
only if it's like significant,
Okay, so not for minor.
probably not for a minor.
It'll still be on our agenda. Just keep an eye out on the agenda and you'll be able to view those drawings when that comes up, those 4 drawings anyways.
and is it a residential subdivision?
It's not, no. So like I mentioned, it's just leaving the golf course, the solar farm, and then there was a lot created, and we actually had a presentation from a company called Thorndike. They were gonna propose a senior housing development for
Yeah.
those 3 acres of that one lot. But they let us know back in February, I think it was, that it fell through and they were no longer working with, the property
Okay.
owner. So regardless, he's now moving forward with creating this road.
All right,
Or he'd like to, that's what
Yep.
the purpose is.
yep, and do you have any concerns about approving a road for something that we don't know what's gonna go in there, or?
So it was approved so anything that comes in there would still have to go through site plan review.
Okay,
So just because we have a subdivision,
Yep.
it doesn't mean that anything can go in there.
Yep.
Because anything that goes in there that has that 1,500 square foot disturbance, they'll have to go through site plan
Yep.
review.
if it was like housing though, would the road have to be one size, and if it was industrial, would the road have to be a different size, or?
So that was the thing, we wanted to make sure that the road was done to specific standards because it's zone business, and we
Yep.
wanted to make sure that it would handle anything that would generate.
Okay.
So it wasn't geared toward residential because it's not residentially zoned.
Yep,
It was geared towards the business, and we did have peer review back at that time, go through, that whole process.
okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Come up and state your name for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry. Ray Mazetas, Harcourt Ave,
Okay.
57 Harcourt Ave. You were just saying that lot we're talking about is business zone? It's not residentially zoned?
Yes, the whole golf course is business.
Used to
zone.
be agricultural years ago. It was under an agricultural when Roger Beach owned it.
So, you talking about the chapter 61 protection, is that?
Yeah, years ago it was agricultural, then it turned into business, but is there any part that's residential of the golf course?
Not at this time. They would have
It's-
to go through town meeting to change the
Okay,
zoning.
okay.
Or do an overlay, and that's what they were considering to
Mm-hmm.
put senior housing. They were considering, proposing a senior housing overlay. And that would still have to go through town meeting. A zoning change requires a 2/3 majority vote at town meeting in order
I
to
see.
pass.
So an overlay would, it would be then considered, residential?
So with an overlay, it means that now you can do senior housing there, or you can still use the existing underlying zone, which would be business still.
Is that Lakeville or is that Massachusetts?
That's Lakeville.
Lakeville.
Bylaws, zoning bylaws.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
thank you. All right, so, did we make that motion to send the,
I did, and I think we voted already.
okay, so we took the vote, that's all set? All right,
Did you vote or did you just make the motion?
we can vote again,
All right, so I made the motion, the second.
just in case.
Someone second that motion?
Yeah, someone did.
Second.
Second, all right,
Yeah,
now we'll vote.
all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye,
Aye. Motion carries.
good. I think we did, but it was, he had come
Yeah,
up,
I
so.
wasn't sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I cut it off too.
Yeah,
because
I-
he-
That's fine, because he wanted to come up and speak to it, it's fine, no worries.
All right. The other item here is Community Preservation Committee, or CPC. Right now, I am the current planning board member on that committee, and my term expires in July. So, just looking to have a reappointment, unless somebody else wants to. No, I love CPC, so I'd appreciate it if someone would like to.
I'll make a motion to recommend, Madam Chair, Michelle keep her spot, right? You wanna keep your spot, is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We also have Jack, and Jack unfortunately didn't make it here this evening.
Can we table this? Cause I don't wanna vote him in. if he's not- I don't wanna vote him in, or I don't wanna say.
Slide him in there while he's
So
not looking.
actually,
Yeah.
so at 7:34, he said he's on his way. So we can postpone it if he comes in and we wanna come back to it. But either way, his appointment expires in July,
Okay.
so we do wanna get it
The
over.
end of July or July 1st?
I'm always foggy on this. I think,
It might be the 31st.
is it
Okay.
the end of July? Okay.
All right.
Because the new budget
But it
goes
might
into
not.
effect on July 1st, but I think the
Yeah.
appointments
I
go
think
to the
I
end
think
of the
they do.
month.
Okay. So we'll just table it to the July 10th.
Well, let's just table it. Is he coming in right now? Okay, we'll
I
just
haven't seen him,
wait.
now I'm watching.
We might bring it back before we adjourn.
Okay.
The next one is the MBTA transit meeting update on Monday. So unfortunately, I apologize, I did not post for planning board meeting. So we weren't able to have a quorum. John and I did attend, but you know what? No other boards had a full presence except for the select board.
Okay.
So I didn't feel
No
too
worries.
bad.
Yeah.
Rep. Oral stood up and had some good questions, comments, and points. Previous select board member, LaCamera, he got up and had some feedback about residential. He was highly against having any more residential in that area. It's zoned industrial.
Yep.
And he pointed out how much percentage of the industrial park is already being used for residential as opposed to industrial. Chris Spratt from Board of Health, he was there. He got up and he shared some concerns as well. Nancy Yates from Conservation, she was there. She didn't get up. I got up and I just shared my personal take that residents want to see some commercial development, especially a supermarket, because with all the building outs on the outskirts of town, it makes it harder to get to a grocery store and takes longer. And if there's a medical, concern, diabetes, something that you want to get to a store, you got to get something,
Excuse me.
quickly. I know we have smaller convenience stores. It's not the same as a grocery store. And so,
Destination.
Yeah.
a destination, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was what, select board member Hunt had mentioned, grocery store, sports facility, do you recall what else? He had some good suggestions that I think
Yeah,
residents will echo.
Yeah, that was mostly, the supermarkets were there,
Yeah.
hanging on them in like a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's, something more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are keeping some of the spots, they are keeping
right.
a section of it.
So the map in the
So the
packet.
state is keeping. a
MBTA is.
MBTA?
So
Okay.
the purple section on the map.
It's hard to
is-
see what they,
I know, I'm sorry,
No,
it's
it's not.
small, because I took a screenshot of the bigger picture. But the purple section is what's gonna be maintained as parking.
okay,
by the MBTA. They're gonna keep that access driveway, and they're thinking,
Roughly 5 acres, yeah.
yeah, roughly, it's under 5 acres, but still, that's what they, of course, they would need to have a zoning change in order to put residential there because it's zoned industrial.
Right.
And it was interesting because they came in saying, you know, we want input, we want feedback, and then when they were asked questions, it definitely seems housing focused.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the
specific.
state for you.
Specific.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a state.
Yep, so they said, it was Greystone Services representative and MassDOT MBTA rep that were both there.
And Greystone is the, what, the,
Marketing, I guess, team for what they were proposing.
Yeah.
okay,
I haven't looked into them further though. And he said that they wanted to put out a RFI, so not quite an RFQ or an RFP,
RFP,
not for a proposal yet, but
Yeah.
this is a request for information.
Yep.
so they're gonna retain, sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt, but in the purple, they're gonna retain that 4 to 5 acre portion for parking for the Cape Cod Flyer.
Correct,
Yeah, okay.
yep, and that's
And that's
200
it.
spots.
Okay,
Yep,
They said that if it's going the other way, like, there'd be major overhauls that would have to be done, so they're not, I don't think that's really in there.
yeah,
yeah, so.
There's been no intentions to ever extend it down to the Cape, like the
Okay.
commuter rail, is what they pretty much said was, but it's not
Yeah.
out of the realm, but they're still keeping the
yeah,
few spaces there.
So that was
200
one of the
spaces, I think.
concerns that, member Plonka had brought up
yeah,
on the select board, and he said, because his concern was, well, if we get rid of all this parking, and now the Cape Flyer expands in the future, then what are you gonna do if you need parking in the future? And they, like John just said, they kind of said that they don't have intent to do that, but knowing the Cape Cod traffic, I don't know why they
Yeah.
wouldn't eventually
yeah,
look
well,
into that.
that's, a lot of people from the city like it and from the area, so they don't have to, well, they avoid the traffic. It's the flyer to the Cape. The surplus property, I mean, yeah, that's valuable. To be honest with you, we have to do something for the town for this, and it's gotta be something, industrial related, so,
Right.
and
So,
not housing.
so the good thing is, the select board wants to do some community events.
Mhm.
Keep an eye out for those. They want resident input. I think, Dan, I think you're just more of the same, not to say
Yeah.
more of the same, but
Yeah.
really more of the same, like
Yeah.
commercial, industrial.
Mhm.
We want to see that. I told them that we're at 10% with the permitted 200 units at the old Lakeville Hospital site.
Yep.
That puts us to 10%. I don't know if it's been filed with the state yet,
Yeah.
but that does make us hit safe harbor compliance with 40B. So this town could say no. Of course, there's other milestones. They have to pull a building permit within, I think it's 12 or 18 months, and then they have to have occupancy within another 18 months. So there are certain hurdles still, but at this moment in time, we are, or we should be in compliance at that point. So, but if we have 200 units come online, if something comes into Rocky Woods, if LeBaron keeps expanding, those are all factors that contribute
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
absorbability rates for more housing in town.
But the surplus property, just to confirm, is owned by
The
MBTA.
MBTA.
Yep.
And I think they said they're looking to like lease it to a developer versus sell it.
Correct, yes, because that was another question about the taxes and how
Right.
they deal with
Like
that.
if a developer came in and built something, they wouldn't be tax exempt like the MBTA is right now.
Right.
So it would be like one of those leases where we'd still
Like
be
a
able.
100-year lease for whatever, grocery store or something,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one big benefit as a piece of industrial property, and though it's kind of less important nowadays, though, is that it has rail access.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you could put a piece of industry in there that needs rail access.
Right,
The only challenge with the rail access though is, the train is going into the new Middleborough station.
Yeah.
Right, but I think he's saying like
Per-
commercial, you know, like,
Oh,
freight trains.
like if freight
Like
trains or
freight
something?
train
Sorry,
still
that's-
uses
sorry.
the rail.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to is, you know,
Right,
some company that needs material in and material out.
Right.
right. For
By
example,
rail.
Warren Trask, right on Route 18, they have a
Yeah.
rail behind and,
Yep.
Yep,
you know, big part of their business, so.
yeah, I mean, you know, so if there was some way that we could kind of advertise it that
Yep.
way, I mean,
Yep.
it's not ours to advertise, but
Right, right, and that's the
smart.
problem.
yeah,
And I think, and I appreciated all the comments and feedback that the select board gave because they brought up the fact that a lot of times there's been bait and switches over the years from the state with the hospital and different things that haven't really happened that we were told would happen. And even the transfer of the Lakeville commuter rail to
Yeah.
Middleborough and all these different things that have happened over the years. So I think they gave some good feedback. There's going to be opportunity for more feedback. Keep an eye out for that. Anybody who's concerned and wants to attend because
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen here. And one of the things that I did write down was when Rep. Orrell got up, he talked about transfer of development rights to try to, if the town were to work with them, would they then be willing to pay the town a certain amount of money so then the town could take that money and use it to preserving somewhere else in town? I thought that was an interesting thing, and I saw the select board members, you know, taking notes too. So it was nice to have him there to you know, present that option too.
I mean, this would be a great commercial opportunity to offset the tax base. We need it in this town desperately.
Absolutely.
Desperately.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that the residents at home need to push as well. So for something like this,
Right.
when it does come up for more discussion, so.
Yeah, and I know everybody's against warehouses, maybe, I mean, this is zoned industrial. So this was someplace that residents had agreed at town meeting when they made that change, that this is where we wanted to see industrial, and unfortunately, a lot of that got
Residential.
built up as residential housing. So, that's about it for me, unless you have anything to add, John?
No, it wasn't a very long meeting. It wasn't.
No.
There wasn't a lot of the public there either. So,
Right.
and I would be, I think some of the, most of their, at least they were on there, most of their examples that they have done have been residential. They said there's only been one or two properties they can think of offhand that were
Commercial.
commercial. And one was in Boston. I think it was a Target though. They put a Target in or something.
And he even said, there was one example he gave of a coffee shop and it still wasn't leased. So, I mean, they definitely were not pro-commercial.
They said it was residential with, I think it was mixed use with a coffee shop, they built that for it to be mixed use, I'm assuming to get by towns such as ours, and then they said it has yet to been filled, so it's just still an open baking coffee shop, but.
And the other thing that came to my mind is that so one of the things that they kept talking about mixed use is, you know, what if we extend our mixed use but our mixed use zoning is horrible. It's horribly written. We tried to remove it a couple town meetings ago. It failed, unfortunately, but it just kind of brought to the forefront that that's still something we have to work on. I'd love to find a town that has a really good mixed use that maybe has a retail requirement. If you want to add residential units, it has to have a retail requirement, you know, maybe with 1 bedroom, 1 bath rental units, you know, so that it's not, so we have, for example, look at Main Street, how like there's so much housing there and there's no retail component in, you know, some of these developments. So instead of just having housing only, if you want to build housing, you have to have that mixed use. You have to have that commercial requirement. So Kathy, actually, she said she was away on vacation. You said Harwich?
I think it was Mashpee.
Mashpee?
Yeah.
So I would like to still explore some other
Some sort of mixed use.
mixed-use bylaws. Welcome, Jack.
Sorry for the delay.
No worries.
No worries.
NPH sensitive apologies.
No, luckily, we had a
Item for you.
quorum.
Yeah, we have an item for you too, we're waiting.
Yep, so we were just finishing up that, but other than that, so we can,
One more thing though, because after going back and looking at it, what was in the former select board, remember,
Rich. the
Rich,
camera.
right. So that lot that he was talking across the tracks was the T's, or was that was that farm that was leased that was that back acre farm that's really, now it's gonna be all residential in Middleborough. It's in Middleborough. They're building that right across the tracks is all residential.
Okay, 'cause
That's the
you-
farm.
Cause when he had said it, you were like, that's not Lakeville.
No, it's not, it's
But
Middleborough.
it is,
Yeah.
it's Middleborough, but it is T, but it is
Across from
residential.
They sold it.
Yeah.
It was leased. The farmer, they used to do it was a pumpkin patch. I've gone out with my kids, like pumpkin picking, and, that's all going residential.
Interesting, cause isn't that where Zenith is putting their new office right in front of that?
Is that where
On the
they're doing
Lakeville
it?
line. It's actually on the line, cause they had to go through Middleborough and Lakeville.
Yeah, so it's right there at that little lot.
Behind.
Yeah, right there, right across it's across the street from, right across from the entrance, the 495 exit.
Interesting.
Wow.
So that's what they were talking, like, that's farm, but that's Middleborough.
Yeah.
But that was land that was leased before to the farmer, and then they sold that. And now that's supposed to go all
So,
residential.
so they must have done the same in Middleborough and had,
Yep. Right, so it is true, so I don't know if that's what
Huh.
you know what I mean, if they're thinking to put it on both sides of the tracks, but that's why
Well,
they're
they're
kind of
gonna
opening up.
probably utilize that access right off the exit ramp for the highway for the.
Right, well, that's what they said, it's right off 495, but it's literally across the street, but I'm curious to see what that would do for, traffic over there. I mean, there's a light there, but still, it's
you gotta
pretty.
leave earlier to get those groceries, people.
But that's a busy exit to get off. I remember getting off that exit before they put the left turn, right turn, and it was like a nightmare trying to get off at that exit
Yeah.
for a long time. So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's,
So Jack, we're at the end of the meeting, but we actually paused and
You know,
figured,
it's fashionable coming late.
yeah.
well, we were about to appoint you to something anyway, so.
Go ahead.
Not to kid.
So, Master Plan Implementation Committee, you've been the planning board member on that committee. Do you wanna maintain that seat?
Sure.
Okay, so,
I move that we appoint Jack to the,
Recommend, right?
Master Plan Implementation Committee.
all right, we're recommending him for
To the-
appointment.
For
Okay.
appointment.
Okay, so we have a motion
Second?
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. Jack, you're back on MP. And actually, so your term, if his term expires just like mine, right? Yes. So the select board have to appoint us after these recommendations are sent over, and then we'll have to go back and get sworn in again. Okay?
Sure.
Our next meeting is July 10th, 2025, here at the Lakeville Police Station. Do we have any other business?
You do. I
Yeah.
need a motion to approve the covenant.
Oh, okay, sorry, we didn't do that. So we made a motion to send over the memo, but not the, okay, so we need a motion to.
I'll-
That's why,
I'll make a motion to, approve the covenant for, was it the Golfers Way?
Yes. Okay, so we have a
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Kathy, for catching that. All right.
I thought we were holding that because we were sending a memo.
Oh, no,
This is
because
the
that
covenant.
should still be,
Yeah.
They still need to go to the minor modification, so.
okay. Are we good now?
Yep.
All right. Someone want to make a motion to
Jack, you be the
adjourn?
owner, go ahead.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, meeting's adjourned.